can't believe you vetoed my cacio e pepe.
I didn't veto cacio e pepe.
You did. You looked at me like, peachy cacio e pepe. It's like, you're doing that Italian thing of like, oh, cacio e pepe, peachy. These English, they don't know anything.
They don't know their pastas. Yeah. They don't know their spaghettis from their peaches.
That's sounding really good.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And one of the joys of exhibiting at somewhere like Frieze is the vast array of objects and pictures that are on offer. Museum quality objects, pieces that really do belong in a museum and will end up there. So you get that wonderful experience of, oh my gosh, what a fantastic opportunity to see these. But it's also somewhere where we sell. People are there to buy, and we like to make sure that people are aware of that. People don't specialise in the way they collect. They want their homes to be filled with interesting, beautiful, objects that just for whatever reason, there's a hook that they've found in it that they love.
There was a time when a collector would be defined by, I collect, I don't know, Italian bronzes from 1480 to 1520, and then it's like a stamp collector. You buy the best of everyone, but that's simply not the way it is anymore. And people collect much more eclectically, whether it's 19th or 20th century portraits like you do, along with antiquities. We're competing with where people spend their money. So, a lot of the younger collectors I've met, especially through Frieze, they may buy wine as much as they might do cars and handbags. I think certainly we as a gallery, but I'm sure most of the exhibitors are always thinking of how do we make this attractive, for the collectors that we meet. I mean, I've sold probably 3 things last year to people that have never bought an artwork before.
That's fantastic.
Full stop.
Full stop, yeah.
Wow.
That turned up because they were there for a glass of champagne.
You've just shown me. Yeah, exactly.
They were there with friends, they'd buy. But, we've also made our price point such that, where we can have a meaningful conversation. And I sold a photograph for £3,500 at the last fair. A wonderful object, a brilliant example of its type. It was a young 30-year-old collector.
She was at Frieze as well, and I love this, that we met. And he didn't buy then, but has subsequently come back and bought. And he was introduced to the art world through NFTs.
Wow.
And I've never seen it that way. And he was like, oh my God, I can buy the actual things, and he'd made his money in tech. Yeah, exactly. But I just love that this is the kind of diversity of person that you're meeting there.
You've been here before, right?
So I believe this was the monkfish carpaccio, and then we have the finocchiona croquettes, and the burrata with peach, which I think is always a very delicious combo.
Okay. Charis, can I serve you? Can I cut one of these up for you?
Yes, I think let's cut them up.
How did the collaboration come about?
So I can't take any credit for that. It's our production team that looks after our restaurants. And Trullo were interested in being at the fair. I always think it's good to have a bit of variety in the restaurants that we have in the fair. So we have Nobu, we have Hamiard, and this sort of, Italian, simple, delicious. Yeah, exactly. To have that kind of variety is always good.
But it's so representative of London as well, isn't it? The ones that you've chosen. I was chatting with some friends about this the other day who are real foodies, and they were saying one of the reasons they love London so much is because actually there's nowhere else in the world where you can get such good quality of all of the different types of cuisine.
But I remember when I moved here, it was olive oil was bought in pharmacies. Olive oil could only be bought in pharmacies as a material.
I was going to say,
but we were the next generation. What is it?
We are.
Andreas, you're giving yourself.
It was in the mid-80s, but olive oil was something you used to put in your ears, and you could not buy garlic easily in greengrocers or supermarkets.
That croquette's beautiful.
That was yummy. Seriously good. And
that was so good.
And the fish as well.
I think it's fantastic to have a new, younger generation of dealers that come into historical art. I think perhaps sometimes the impression is that historical art galleries tend to be exclusively businesses that have been run for generations, and I think that's not the case for either of you. You've both started up independently. I know you started many, many years ago in an auction house, and Charis, you started studying classics, right?
Yeah,
and sort
ancient
of
history.
Ancient history, thank you.
It's definitely a way of life. I mean, there's no separation between my work life and my personal life.
Yeah.
And my family are absolutely involved in my work day to day.
For better or worse.
Yeah,
better or
whether
worse,
they wanted
yeah.
to or not.
But I mean, we're very lucky. I mean, how many other careers can there be for art historians? I mean, like you, I'm a classics graduate, and you know, I could either become an archaeologist or an academic, or and dealing was something that I eventually found, and I can't imagine ever doing anything else ever again.
Or never being satisfied doing anything else.
And it's a job that I think you can still, you can do until the day that you die.
True.
You cannot stop it because it's addictive. The idea of hunting for artworks, finding great things, and then being able to share them with people. Sell them. I mean, sell the idea of owning things as well as the the actual object itself.
What would you say is the most useless piece of advice you've been given when you started this career?
I don't think any advice I've been given has been useless because it's helped to form notions or push me in directions. Otherwise, I mean, in terms of useful bits, something we touched on earlier, but will probably be you have to make sure that you really want this. Because it's not impossible at all, but it's not easy.
I think there's also probably something about the impetus that makes you want to do this beyond the sort of the money making, whatever. But I think you have to be a certain type of person that, what I call the sickness. There's the sickness that people who buy art have, which is this desire to possess. It's that impetus that, I mean, I think we've all had as children. I have to own that toy. I have to collect all these. My daughter has it. I think many people have it. But when it comes to art, I found that there's a particularly strong feeling, and actually ties into my useless piece of advice I was once given, which is to always keep your head when you're trying to buy things.
Whatever it's about, people with passion is just the most wonderful, attractive thing. And I think that's why we as art dealers often get on so well, because we're so passionate about what we do. And even if you deal in completely different areas, you love spending time with somebody who has a great passion for something.
Yeah, definitely.
And it will come with sort of a narrative flair, as sort of the stories that come with it, with the experience, with the years of doing it with the people that you meet as part of your job. I think the fact that we are in London as a fair remains one of, I think, the key parts of our identity, because we're within this incredible community of galleries, of museums, of experts, of artists as well. Having that possibility of being a hub for exchange between all of these key players, which I think, in a way, started back at the time that you described, the sort of later 19th century. So museums being one of the key parts, but it doesn't have to be a London museum. I'd be curious to know, if you could live in a museum for a day or forever, where would it be? Which museum would it be?
I'd have to choose two.
Okay.
So I would say the Sir John Soane Museum for, a slightly more homely, homely environment, and then the constant discovery you would make every single day. I mean, you would never be bored in that place.
Never, absolutely.
And then, to be true to my sculpture background, I mean, the V&A.
The V&A.
I mean, how lucky are we to live in a city like London, where you have places like the V&A, which just have...
Where you can just walk in, which I also think that's the amazing thing. I was recently at the National Gallery and just seeing the Titian's room that they've done in the new rehang of the Sainsbury wing. That's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah. We're so lucky here. How many great historic homes that are open to the public. It's fabulous, whether you're interested in architecture or antiquities or,
or contemporary art.
Or contemporary, because they're constantly as well adding new works.
Yeah.
To be able to go there for an afternoon by yourself, with someone who's interested in art, or someone who, a friend or a family member who's maybe not that into the art, but will come with you because you're walking around a beautiful home.
Irrespective of pandemic, Brexit, a lot of the topics that people like to use to bash London with, it's still a globally important city. It's a place where, at the end of the day, people love coming to. You know, everyone comes through London at some point in their lives, and you know, especially the people who are interested in art in the categories that we're interested in, they will come to London, you know, 2-3 times a year. So, you know, for me, and I hope for you as well, it makes perfect sense to have our base here and do the fairs that we do and to have the relationships that we have. I mean, I couldn't do this anywhere else.